Your studio setup will form a big part of the look of your channel. It's the place your show can be consistent and reliable, always coming back to an element of familiarity. So how are you going to set up yours? Let's look at the two main types of studio you need to consider. I'm going to call it basic versus best. Color. Keep it simple and clear by using color backdrops. This is perfect for small spaces, and especially if the space can't be dedicated full-time to filming. Backdrops like this can be rolled away after use to free up your studio. Whatever color you choose, or even multiple colors within the same video, you'll need the same type of lighting. A backlight to remove your shadow and to make you pop, a single ring light to shoot through, or an interview light just to one side of the camera and above your eye line. You could also have a kicker, which could just be another interview light, or if you're really investing, a 120D from Aperture. That's the basic setup. You could easily use the same principles on a wall if it has a block color or a pattern that fits the tone you're wanting to get across. The best studio backdrops are the ones that go unnoticed. Backdrops are meant to be part of the scenery and help set the tone. If I'm sitting here in our studio as your mentor, it makes sense to have the sort of deconstructed look of kit and sound baffles. But if I was explaining the insides of a gearbox, you'd expect me to be in a workshop full of tools. So all those happy accidents where the background looks perfect and casual is of course not an accident at all. Two things that make this look work well are lighting, of course, and depth of field. Find a space that looks like a snapshot of your world. The obvious places are desks with computers, and that's fine, but make sure that there are clear signals to your audience. An interior designer, let's see that rack of sample leathers or an open space in the background. Now, lighting these spaces is harder because it very much depends on strong light sources that may or may not be constant. Using daylight isn't a great idea because the light will change throughout the shoot, or even during a take if there's a sudden cloud shift. And this will cause a world of hurt in the edit. I'm of course aware that you could allow most cameras to auto-expose and let it change settings with the light, but that will also form part of the look, so just be aware it won't be as polished. But hey, unpolished could be the look of your channel. These really are options, but unless you know exactly what you're doing, it could just as easily be distracting. The main thing is, when you want to shoot, you just want to shoot. If you've seen a YouTube setup where there seems to be this perfect angelic look with natural light pouring in through windows in every single video, they've either chanced it and batched a ton of videos on a single cloudless or consistently overcast day, or likely that look is completely manufactured using a big light source just off camera. If they're really ambitious, they may have actually created a studio with a fake window and a very big light acting as daylight. The point is, if you're making lots of regular videos for your channel, you need a reliable setup, so daylighting for your studio isn't really ideal. You'll need at least one big light, ideally a 120D or 300D from Aperture, and some temperature variable interview panels. Turn off your overhead lights because they most often are fluorescent green and horrible, but also because they cast unflattering shadows under your eyes and nose. Use the big light with a petal and diffuser next to your camera on one side. This will be your main key light for the whole scene. You can then paint with light using the smaller interview lights. I'd recommend that you use one of those interview panels as a kicker by putting it exactly opposite the main light on the other side of you. This will fill the dark side of you quite filmically and look quite flattering. Also, you can try a flatter look by bringing it around towards the camera and still on the same side. Then paint in some background highlights with the other interview lights to make the background pop in a couple of places. The other thing that will make this look work well is depth of field. If you're using a phone at this stage, probably stick to colored backdrops because the smartphone sensors will tend to keep everything in focus. This is a great feature for the kind of quick filming that phones can do, but not great for making something look arty and, well, like you put a lot of effort in. A studio background with just enough going on that is slightly out of focus is going to be so much more flattering to the subject who is in focus. And this is where that DSLR or dedicated video camera with a changeable lens is going to come into its own. There will be a video coming up on how different lenses can change the mood, look, and tone, so make sure you're subscribed to not miss that. In short, the faster the lens, that is the smaller the aperture number it can go to, the shallower the depth of field you can create. Basically, the background will go all soft focus and classy. This is currently being shot on a 24 to 70mm lens, but crucially it can open to a maximum of 2.4 stops rather than the more common 3.5 or 4 stops. As I said, the smaller the number, the better that soft focus look, which is counterintuitive, I know. On a fixed lens video camcorder, You can usually mimic this look to a degree by zooming right in and then moving the camera back until you've got the frame that you want, but you're likely to be quite limited by the amount of space this requires. Now go, break a leg. We'd love to see a still of your fully lit up studio, so send them through to us. There's a contact email in the description. If you do, we'll feature your look in a follow-up video, so there's an incentive for you. If you want to know more about setting up your own studio, then why not subscribe to the playlist that we'll be adding to over time, and meanwhile, why don't you subscribe to our whole channel? Hit the subscribe button. Go on, you know you want to. Evil twins.